please start to think about your journey being decades, not days, being years, not months. Understand you're going to need to take rest stops because, quite frankly, some of those rest stops are where the fun actually is. Who gives a shit how much grilled chicken I consume? I'm going to remember the golf trip that I go on with my friends. My name is Brian. I'm an executive coach that helps successful professionals get wealthy outside of the office in their mind, their body, and their relationships. I am an expert at this because I did it myself. I sat inside of corporate America in a seat just like the one that you do for 20 years. If I can do it, so can you. Welcome back to the show. This is the Success Lift podcast. I'm Brian. Welcome back. We're at the end of January 2025. We are statistically in a time of year where resolutions, challenges, new year, new you have effectively gone to die. Most resolutions are gonzo. They're done with. People are moving on. Some are maybe struggling, holding on for dear life. I mentioned that last week. That's why I wanted to talk about progress, not perfect last week. I'm going to ask you to even extend your timeline even further this week by thinking about this concept that is really important. But before I do that, if you know someone that this show would be appropriate to listen to or listen for, or someone who might care about the show, could you let them know? Could you send it to them? Post this on your social media. I know a lot of people that follow me don't even have social media, and that's cool too. Just share it with someone. Shoot it to them via text. Send them a message. Let them know that you're getting value out of this podcast. If you haven't rated the podcast, I would love it if you rated 5 stars. You can rate it whatever you want. Head over to Apple or Spotify to rate the podcast. We haven't gotten a review, Jesus, in like 6 months or so. So that would be nice too, if you could take 30 seconds if you've never rated the podcast before. If you would please subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. I'm on YouTube. For those of you on YouTube, you can see the new shirt, the new merch we just got in for clients. I'll be sending these shirts out to everybody soon. Pumped about that. Very happy with the way they came out. Shout out to Ben Franklin Print Company, an awesome t-shirt designer. They make a bunch of different stuff out of Massachusetts. Super happy with t-shirts, how they came out. Fit the pipes pretty nicely, allow you to see the guns. They're really soft. They're amazing. If you want one, hit me up. You can just join my program, become a client, and then I'll give you one for free. Well, shameless plug there. All right. I want to talk this week about a concept that I've been thinking about. I probably mentioned it before in little snippets, maybe little clips, maybe in an email or two here or there. If you're not on my email list, you can go to thesuccesslift.com/join. I send a daily, short, motivational, educational, inspirational how-to. I'm really good with the how-to for the busy professional, for the parent, for the corporate executive. This is my life. I live my life like this. My clients don't have to listen to a damn word I say. They can just watch what I do inside of my program because we are highly connected, because they can see all the things that I do too. They can see what I put in my mouth. I show them my life. And so if you are ever confused about what to do, you just need to open up your eyes and watch me. This week, we're talking about a concept that will change your life forever. And you've actually already practiced it. You just haven't been willing to do it in other areas of your life outside of your career. And that concept is thinking in decades and not days. And while I know you immediately might just have thought to yourself, decades, F that. I want my results now, Brian. I am a highly motivated individual. I am type A. I am all or nothing. That bullshit phrase we throw around. I'm all or nothing. What an awful phrase that is. What a shitty excuse to not do the things that you need to do on a regular basis that is. All right. You're not all or nothing because you've taken days off of work in your career. You've gone on vacations. You've gotten sick. You've shown up at less than 100% of your capacity. You've not given a shit many, many days, but you've still shown up. So get F out of here with the I'm all or nothing. All right. You've wanted to proverbially strangle your kids. Please note, I am not suggesting that you put your hands on your children in that manner, but I have wanted to. You haven't. I'm all or nothing. So it's like, stop using these stupid ass phrases because you're not. It's not true. If you were all or nothing, at some point you just decide to just give up for good. And you haven't, especially when it comes to showing up to work every day. And so why won't you think about showing up in other areas of your life less than 100% of your capacity, your desire, your commitment? Because that actually is what creates the results that you're truly after. And if you can have this little unlock in understanding that where you got to right now, wherever you are personally, I'm in a different place than you are. I may have started 10 years ago and you haven't started yet. You may be 2 or 3 years in. You may be 5 years ahead of me. Whatever. Different areas of your life. You didn't get to the point you're at today in days, in weeks, in months. Sadly, not even in a couple of years. Your results today are a product of what you've been doing for the last 3, 5, 10 plus years. Every single area. I use my marriage a lot recently as an example. It's in a phenomenal place. I could not be more in love with my wife. We could not be more connected than we are right now. I'm going to rephrase that. We will be more connected than we are right now in the future because we will continue to work at it. But historically speaking, we have never been in a place that we are right now. That did not happen over the course of the last 3 weeks because I decided to put more effort in. And that happened to me very really. It happened to me in my life 10 years ago, right now, when she was like, I don't know about this dude. I went to work for about 2 months. I busted my ass. I lost a lot of weight. I started to change my habits. I got in much better shape. And I was like strutting around like a peacock. Like, hey, look at me now. I'm starting to keep my commitments. I'm coming home a little bit earlier. I'm not drinking so much. I'm getting into better shape. I don't think I've lied to you. I probably have, but I don't think I've lied to you in the last 2 months. Where's our incredible relationship that I've been hoping that we had? She was like, yeah, okay, bro. 2 months. Try 2 years. Try 10 years. Try longer. Do it for longer. And so wherever you're at right now is a product of what you've been doing for the last 3, 5, maybe even longer years, both the good and the bad. The money in your bank, you didn't just earn with this past bonus cycle, with 2024's income. You stacked it year after year after year. How you look in the mirror when you get out of the shower, when you take your shirt off at the pool this past summer, on your Christmas vacation. You didn't earn that body. It didn't develop over the course of 30, 60, 90 days. It's been years. Yes. Is there maybe a little bit more bloat hanging out there because you decided to decimate yourself over this past Christmas holiday? I don't know. Maybe. But like, we didn't go from 6 packs to man boobs in 6 weeks. Can't happen. Can't physically happen. Yet when we declare that we want to do something different, like early January for a lot of people, we get to January 27th. Is that what today is? I don't even know. We get to the last week of January and we look at our results and we're like, I'm only down 4 pounds. I screwed up. I didn't drink in the entire month. I've drank 4 times. I was going to do dry January. You drank 40 fucking times from Halloween until New Year's. And you just only drank 4 times in 27 days. And you're viewing that as a failure? What are we doing? whatever it is you're looking to change, while mentally, I would argue, you can flip a switch. You can change overnight. You are 100% capable. Is it likely? Is it sustainable? Usually not, but some people have. I've gone cold turkey in my life with certain things. Other things, it's taken me years to change in terms of habits because it took me decades to develop. And so just because you want to change something in the month of January doesn't mean you're going to be any closer by the end of January. You may have zero tangible results. You may be building a foundation underneath the surface. I've used this analogy before. You are likely in a very senior position in your company. If one of your all-star young people came into the office and he or she said to you, I love your job. I really admire you. I want to be you. How do I do that in the next 24 months? How do I do that in the next 6 months? Let's make it even more ridiculous. Or let's compare it to what most people are going through right now, not being where they want to be in 30 days in a new year. How do I get your job in the next month? You wouldn't fire the person for being insane because they're very promising and they have a lot of potential. You would likely chuckle, maybe sit back, maybe tell them to sit down, maybe tell them they're an idiot with love. Explain that you're 20 years into this game and you were right where they were 2 years or 1 year or whatever into their journey, into their career. And you believe that they have what it takes, but now they got to go back out and do it for fucking longer because it doesn't happen in a year. It doesn't happen in 2 years. It doesn't happen in 30 days in the month of January during a new year because you decided that you were disgusted with your performance over the last 60 days leading into it. And so if you can start to think like you do in your career, in aspects of your life outside of the office, it is a mindset shift that will completely unlock and free you up to allow you to have a couple of mistakes here and there, to allow you to have performances where you're like, could have done better. Let's get back to it. Remember the transition time that I talk about a lot. Your ability to transition from exceptional performance to maybe it's now experiential because the last 7 days were completely businesslike. I have a lot of clients that travel for 2 weeks off and on or for the entire time, and then they get home for 10 days. And then they travel again. And then they're home for 6 days. And then they travel again. They're home for 2 days. And they travel like over and over and over and over again. So your schedule is not the problem because I could show you some schedules that would make your mind very dizzy. It's your commitment to the different schedules you have. It's your story that you're telling yourself that you can't do it because of a certain circumstance. I promise you, I know somebody personally that has the same or very, very, very similar circumstance as you. As I've always said, you are unique. Your problems are generic. And so you need to start putting your foot on the gas during some of these times where things do line up in your favor. When you do have 4 straight days in your own bed, you can control your meals for 3 straight days. When you don't have a dinner out for 5 straight days, why not execute the hell out of those? And of course, we don't throw away those moments that are not perfect, but to sweat 1 or 2 meals, a happy hour that we have to go to, a performance that's not up to our standard, maybe missing the gym. Are all of these things possible to control when you're traveling, when you're doing something, when you're out of your routine? This little analogy that I've been on for the last 2 minutes, 100%. It's just a choice. Preparation, it's planning. It's having some tips and tricks, maybe from somebody who's done it. All right, just gave myself the 2 thumbs. This guy. If you're not watching on YouTube, go subscribe to the YouTube channel, by the way. Brian Pannuzzo on YouTube, Pannuzzo. The simple thought process of years. Let's start with months. Months. It's going to take you months to just get started. It's going to take you years to see tangible results. It's going to take you decades to live an elite life, just like you have in other aspects of your life. And so I hope that you take this thought process into the month of February and beyond in 2025. Because most people have likely stopped and started, chopped themselves up in January, don't feel great about where they are today versus where they wanted to be. Their expectations didn't match, didn't align with, I say all the time, their actions. Those two things are usually out of alignment with the people that I work with, that I speak to on a daily basis, right? My ecosystem of followers, for lack of a better phrase, the people who resonate with the message that I share. You're out of alignment with what you expect to get and what you're willing to do. Also, your expectations in terms of the time horizon that you are going to get it is absurd. It's way too short. You need to stretch that. When you stretch that, you actually take some pressure off. I know the initial reaction is like, shit, Brian, you're telling me it's going to take 3 to 5 years to look and feel my best to transform aspects of my life that I want to transform in the next 30 days? That sucks, man. I get it. I've been there. I can only confidently say this because I'm 10 years plus into my own transformation. Now, don't get me wrong. Just like you get nothing for 10 years, right? I immediately in 2 months experienced some pretty cool changes. My physical body started to change my mindset a little bit. Started to keep promises to myself. My wife just didn't talk to me instead of like cursing at me. All of this is progress. So you'll make progress along the way. You'll have pit stops along the way. I talk about the cross-country trip a lot. I'm from the East Coast. I live on the West Coast. It's a very natural thing for me to think about. If you got in the car from one side of the country to or the other and needed to go across, you would need turn-by-turn directions, yes, from a professional, from an expert, i.e. the GPS system. I am that GPS system. I am your co-pilot riding shotgun, making sure you don't go off the path for too long. Also letting you know that it's important to take rest stops because you can't go across the country in one shot. And I'm not ever going to allow you to go back to your starting point, just like the GPS. But how many people have started their journey, their road trip in early January and have turned back and gone home already? And how fucking sad is that? So if you take anything away from this conversation, please start to think about your journey being decades, not days, being years, not months. Understand you're going to need to take rest stops because, quite frankly, some of those rest stops are where the fun actually is. Who gives a shit how much grilled chicken I consume? I'm going to remember the golf trip that I go on with my friends. That doesn't mean that I'm going to stop eating the grilled chicken, in air quotes. I'm going to remember the times where I went off the path. But in order to look and feel the way I want to, the grilled chicken is fucking necessary. Think about this journey in years and even decades, and at least start with months and get the hell out of days. Stop worrying about what you did yesterday. Start executing today. Have a great week. I'll see you back here next week.